Station. This is Chris Earl with KCRG-TV in Cedar Rapids. How do you hear us?
I have you loud and clear, Chris.
Mount Air native Peggy Whitson is back in space on the International Space Station for Expedition 50. 51 will follow. This launched back in late October. Her crew docked with the ISS in mid-November. And throughout the recent past, we've caught up with Peggy a handful of times as an Iowa native to see what she's been seeing and experiencing as part of NASA. In fact, we last talked with her on the morning show exactly 2 months ago today here on KCRG-TV 9. Good morning, Peggy, although, again, I suppose morning is relative where you are right now.
Yeah, it's actually getting to be afternoon, late afternoon for me now. I'm on Greenwich Mean Time, so it's 6 hours ahead of you.
So a simple question to ask right away, and I'm curious about this. When you look outside of your window, or the nearest window, what can you see right now?
Well, actually, right now we are flying over the Atlantic and coming up on western side of Africa. And actually, flying over Africa is really pretty, especially the northern parts where the Sahara is, just because of the peach color that comes in, reflected light off of the sands down there. So it's actually a very beautiful area to fly over. But at any point in time, because our planet is 80% water, you have an 80% chance of seeing water when you look out the window. But even the water and the clouds are actually very dramatic, very beautiful, and especially just seeing the curve of the Earth, incredibly beautiful.
I know you have months and months on this expedition. What are two of the more notable scientific experiments and trials that you and the rest of the crew are working on?
Well, one of the big experiments that I've already gotten started on is called packed bed reactor. It's a way to separate gases and liquids in zero gravity. That's important for us in understanding how to optimize and develop our fuel technologies and other gas-liquid mixtures in future technologies in space, but also just the basic science of understanding how systems work with the lack of gravity also helps us optimize systems in manufacturing on Earth as well. So that's one area that I'm interested in. Obviously, being a biochemist, I'm also interested in some of the studies looking at immune function, or we're doing another very interesting one. It's a collaborative international investigation where we're looking at how fluid shifts may affect how our eyes work, because we've seen some damage to our eyes during space flight. And so we're trying to better understand and characterize why sometimes it's reversible, why sometimes it's not, and just to understand that. So we do a lot of interesting studies looking at things that might be contributing to that effect on the eyes.
Peggy, we've chronicled many of your expeditions, your flights into space, and I'm curious, how did Christmas treat you this year, being this far away?
Well, this is actually my second Christmas in space, and we had a fantastic time. Actually, we had our big Christmas dinner on Christmas Eve and handed out our presents then. But the one thing that we did that was probably the most fun is we had Shane and I had arranged to have some frosting brought up. And so we did a cookie decorating contest. And a friend of ours who is into decorating cakes and cookies on the ground was our judge. And so we had a contest to see who could decorate the best cookies. I think the guys seem to be pretty into it, but I think it's only because I made it into a contest.
And Peggy, I noted when we saw your Christmas socks, the red and the white ones from earlier, I noted that they were out of this world, possibly the worst joke that was told in Iowa for today. But we always appreciate your time and continued safe travels, and we hope to catch up with you once you're back in a few months after Expedition 51. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your interest. I'm happy that Iowa is so interested in spaceflight and NASA.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the KCRG-TV portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from KTBC-TV.
It is a real honor to be able to touch base with the International Space Station, and that's what we're doing right now, visiting with Commander Shane Kimbrough, Commander on the International Space Station. Commander, thanks so much for some of your time.
Hey, it's great to be with you today.
Happy holidays to you, and tell us a little bit about how you're spending this holiday season up at the space station and what you have going on.
Well, we had a nice weekend. We got an extra day on Monday. We had Monday off as well to celebrate the Christmas holiday. And what we did was shared it with our Russian cosmonaut colleagues who their Christmas isn't until January 7th. So we had them down for a nice dinner on Christmas Eve. We actually got some cookies out and showed them how to decorate Christmas cookies, and we actually had a contest with them. They did very well. Actually, they actually won the contest, so they were very creative. And we just watched some Christmas movies, got to call home, and tried to make it as much like home as possible.
Well, there's no losers if it's a Christmas cookies competition. That's the good thing about that, I'm sure. It always ends well with everybody eating their Christmas cookies. But I'm sure a long way away from your hometown of Killeen to be up in outer space over the holiday season.
Yeah, I had the good fortune of being born at Fort Hood, so right next to Killeen. And unfortunately, I didn't live there very long because my dad got stationed to Oklahoma shortly after I was born. But that is where I was born. I really grew up in the Atlanta area for most of my childhood.
Tell us about the mission right now that you're on up there at the International Space Station.
Well, we're on what's called Expedition 50 right now, so we're proud to be part of that. My crewmates are amazing. We've been really doing a lot of great work, a lot of science, a lot of research. We're now kind of shifting gears. We're getting ready for 2 spacewalks that are coming up on January 6th and January 13th. So starting this week, we're really getting focused on those events. It's always a big deal when you send people outside in space. So we're going to be prepared and ready and to go on January 6th and the 13th.
I would imagine, and I don't think that's something most of us down here think about, the prep work for that walk outside in outer space to make sure that everyone's safe, but also that that time is maximized and the mission of the spacewalk is successful.
Yeah, that's a great point, and we have such a great team on the ground in Houston that's prepared us before we left, and then now that we're up here, we're going to have conferences with those folks still. They're sending us up procedures every day to get our spacesuits ready. I was working on the spacesuits today, getting them ready to go, and we'll have procedure reviews and many things like you mentioned, just to make sure, first of all, that we are safe, but then that we do maximize that time that we're outside to get our mission accomplished.
Once again, those spacewalks coming up on January 6th and January 13th. And then, Commander, how long will your mission at the space station last?
We're currently scheduled to land at the end of February, early March time frame, so we'll see how that goes. That's me and my 2 Russian crewmates. The other 3 crew members that are up here, a French astronaut, an American astronaut, and a Russian astronaut, they got here about a month after we did, so they're scheduled to land in the May time frame right now.
Wonderful. Well, again, Commander Shane Kimbrough, we really appreciate you taking some time to visit with us. Happy holidays, and hope there's a couple spare Christmas cookies from the cookie party that you get to munch on over here the next couple days.
Yeah, we will. Thanks for having me, and it was great talking to you. Happy holidays to everybody.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.